Welcome back to the 5 on 5 podcast presented to you by directmusicservice.com. Direct Music Service, we preach on it every week. Go over there and grab DJ edits, originals, remixes, everything. 5 on 5 is the promo code FIVEON, FIVE. They'll save you 30% off your first month's subscription.
We're going to get right into it. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like, hit the subscribe, ding the bell every time we drop a video. Because we trying to get our numbers up. Our numbers been all right though.
We got to get the YouTube numbers up.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother podcast. It's a whole nother show. Nick and I were working furiously late into the night, trying to figure out some tech tips to get YouTube subscribers up. But that's a whole nother podcast. We're gonna get right into it. We have such a great show today. It's just been legends only around here. We've had a lot of great acts rolling through lately.
Should we change? We need to change our podcast to like the Goat Herders.
That's it. Yeah, the goats. Just the goats.
No, the Goat Herders. The Goat Herders.
We're not the Herders. No. We bring in the goats. We bring in the goats. Just the goats. Yeah. Last week we had DJ Puffy. The week before we had Greg Wilson. The week before that we had Floetic and Flip Out. It's just been a full gamut of DJs and producers. And this week is no exception. You know who the boys are. I'm not even going to get into the intro for the boys. We're just going to skip right past that. This gentleman blew up very early. He was 17 years old when things just took off. I have so much to talk about that, about Blog Era, about everything. But I'm going to do that introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, Legends Only Goat Herders podcast. Now is what we're calling it.
Yes.
Make some noise for Louis La Roche.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes. What an intro.
How are you doing, man? How you living?
Yeah, really good. Thank you.
Yeah, we're stoked to have you here. I know you're back into dropping bangers. You have you just dropped Colors, which is fantastic. Yep.
I try. I try every song to be a banger, but it's not always. Sometimes some are a bit shit.
It's tough getting inspired from the production side of things because you make something, and the true test of time is if you wake up in the morning and you still enjoy it. You know, most of it doesn't make the chopping block. You hear it again, or you're working on just a kick for 5 hours. You're just trying to fine tune a kick, and people don't really see that. They just see the final product of the festival performance and the song going off. They don't see you banging your head against the wall trying to find that perfect snare.
Honestly, like the best ideas are the ones that like you do in a day. You know, like the ones where you're spending, like you say, like 5 hours on a kick drum or something. Like that's probably a sign that, you know, it's not going too well and you should probably move on.
Right.
The ones that, like, you know, take a few hours or whatever, you're like, whoa, this is the shit, you know?
What's the cutoff time for you? Like, it's like 2 hours. 2 hours is just too long to spend on a kick drum.
Yeah, I mean, like literally, like it's my 9 to 5. So like, I'm like writing music like all day, every day. So if in that time frame, like 9 to 5, if I can do a song in that time, then it's like, that's like the peak. The peak time. But if you know something takes longer, then whatever. But I hate like going back to things. So if I can get it all done in one, then that's great. So
what's the most songs that you've completed in a day?
I guess like. So I do nowadays, like for the last year, I've done lots of stuff for like library work. And that can be very demanding. Like sometimes, you know, they'll be like, right, we need this, and this by tomorrow. So yeah, I think I did like 3 songs in a day, but they weren't like full songs. They were just like maybe like 2 minutes each. But one of them had like 2 of them were instrumental and one was like had to have a vocal on. So it was just like, again, that was like first thing in the morning until like 10, 11 o'clock at night. So
just bang them out. In the way that hip hop works today, like 2 minutes for a song is perfect. The way that they're pumping out these songs now.
All of Spotify, really.
Yeah, you know, for real.
They figure society only has the attention span of maybe 2 minutes. You know, but honestly though, if somebody listens to your track, they know in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You hear something and you're like, oh, skip. or, oh yeah, this is my shit, let me stick with this, which has translated to DJing, which people, if they hear something right away that they don't like, maybe they'll come up to the DJ booth, especially in nightclubs, which is tough because, you know, we're always dealing with the demand of society, with people wanting instant gratification. Hey, can you play my song right now? I want to get right into that.
Brett, and then getting through the verses too.
right.
Like sometimes you can't even get through one verse now.
And now TikTok is like killing all of that. It's like you have to have an intro, and that's kind of it. Like the rest of the song doesn't matter, you know.
Exactly. We're just all quick mixing now.
Playing in 45 too.
Yes, play the sped up version. I don't want to hear the original.
Right.
There's no way you're digesting anything at that speed. Where it's just going straight through you, and you're like, all right, you know. But Gen Z is like, yo, you got 10 seconds. What's the song gonna be? Okay, I hate it. Next song, play it faster.
Just like, constantly elevator pitching.
Yeah. It's a lot. So, Brett, I want to get into this as far as your side of things from the DJ perspective. I have to assume you're pretty selective on where you DJ these days.
But a lot of that, like, a lot of that isn't on purpose. So, two things happened. So, early on, like you said in the intro, I kind of got like a management and a booking agent when I was 17. So I played like my first like serious gig when I was 17, and I think it was like Switzerland or somewhere. Like I flew out on my own, which was like the first time I'd been on a flight on my own, and it was all quite daunting and everything. And kind of since then, like for a good maybe like 6 or 7 years, it didn't really stop. It was just like constant playing all the time, city after city, country after country. And after a while, it just like, it wasn't that fun anymore, because I'd like sucked all the fun out of it, because it was just like constant and like no sleep and hotel rooms and like dark clubs and everything. And the other thing, so that was one side, because I sucked the fun out of it. But the other thing was my hearing. So when I first started, like earplugs weren't talked about at all. Like nobody talked about earplugs. And then even when they did talk about earplugs, it was like, yeah, whatever. And like, you know, it wasn't cool to wear earplugs or whatever. And because I was playing like so often, and because I started so young, I completely fucked myself over, basically. So I do have tinnitus. I have like quite mild tinnitus, but so I kind of like shut down shows a bit and stopped doing them so often, because it was really, you know, starting to affect my hearing. So that's the main reason. I would love to play like all the time, but it's just it's, you know, you just have to, you know, it's like my bread and butter is my ears, so I can't do anything. So so that's why.
and a constant ringing is just maddening, really, you know, no matter what level it is. I have it as well, you know, and you're trying to go to sleep, you're trying to watch TV at a low volume or whatever, and you're like, it's in the back of your head, and you can't think about it for too long without it just driving you nuts, you know. And I think too, you know, you started at 17 in the blog era, and of course nothing was mentioned about earplugs, because everything was real cool guy society. You know, it was like, it was leather jackets, it was smoking cigarettes, it was you know, no one was listening to music with earplugs in at festival, or not even festivals, it was shows at that point. You know, it wasn't like these big EDC like banger. And I think that a lot of people in that position, myself included, all the music was distorted at that time. You know, as you mentioned in another interview, is the distortion era, where there was so much coming from that, where these brash sounds and everything just wreck your ears.
And then let me add this too. That's not exclusive to Bloghouse. That's how it was in hip hop too.
In hip hop,
with Daft Punk and everything. The mixtape era. So
I think the thing is, like, especially with DJs, is that like you're so close to the monitor. You know, like the monitor is just there, and it's so. And you've got a dial on the mixer that says booth or whatever. You can crank that up as high as you want.
Yeah.
So you've got all the control. Whereas like a band, obviously, like they can walk about the stage and it's like at the front of the stage and like you know, it stays the same volume. You can't tweak it. You know, it's the sound guy's job to do that.
Yeah.
So you can kind of escape it to a certain degree. But DJs are like, you know, taking that all those decibels like pretty full on. So
mine came from a phobia. I was always cranking the booth because I didn't want to hear the crowd talk. I didn't want to hear anything as far as I don't like this song or anything like that, or like any conversation, because my mind would just go wandering right away. So I'm always cranking that volume to where there's this wall of sound coming in at you where I'm like, perfect. I can't hear anything. I'm just in my own little bubble. My ears are bleeding down the side of my head, you know, like.
And then especially in Portland, you got to crank the volume too, because, you know, they hate loud music in Portland.
Oh yeah, you know, or another spot, you know, as you play out more and more, you're like, it's not loud enough, you know, because that hearing is starting to diminish, and you're like, let me just put the booth at midnight when it was at 9 p.m. when you started DJing or whatever.
Right.
Brett, you had an interesting start to things, and I think it's a double-sided sword. And I know you've talked about this so many times in interviews and stuff like that. You were compared to Daft Punk. People thought your song was Daft Punk, your song Love, when it came out. First of all, what a fucking mountain to climb at 17, you know, out of the gate, where they're like, oh no, it's not Daft Punk, it's this guy. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, this is
hate to disappoint you.
How did you move forward after the initial single? What was your mindset? I mean, you're 17 at that point. Things are so different than where you're at now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up with that sound. I grew up with French house. That's why Louis La Roche is a name, you know, and that was always the kind of intent. That was the sound that I was going for. So obviously to kind of be put in that box, and it's quite like, I mean, I hate pigeonholing in music anyway. Like I hate that, because as soon as you do that, like you're stuck with that and you can't do anything else. So, but at that age, you know, at 17, it was like, it was so odd, because I almost got like imposter syndrome, because it was like, and I got it really quickly, because I just made this name, I just made this song, I put it out there, and then all these different blogs and all these different websites are like, you know, talking about it, but they're not talking about me, they're talking about it as if it was a Daft Punk song. So it was kind of like, I kind of separated myself from it like straight away, because I was like, well, it's not really my song, because they think it's this other guy, you know. But after a while, I kind of, like the releases after that, I kind of slowly started to find, like, I guess like my recipe, or like my sound after that. And it's sort of evolved ever since. But to a certain extent, I was kind of like running away from that a little bit, because that, you know, like I say, people like, that's what people knew me for then. And obviously since then, like, you know, my career has taken like different paths, and but in the back of my head, it's always like, to a certain group of people, I will always be that, and that's fine, that's cool.
Sure.
But I'm kind of like, it's in my nature to always like have a new challenge and see what else I can do, you know, like. do this genre, do that genre, take things here and there. So like the pigeonhole that people put me in, it's like, oh no, I can do this as well. Like I can do that, but I can also do this, and I can also do this. So it kind of like, and that's why I'm like I said before, that's why I'm doing the library stuff, because I write so much music, and it's like, if I have a brief that says we want something that sounds like this, or this artist wants a song that sounds like this, I like the challenge to be like, I can do that, and I know I can do that, and so I enjoy that challenge. I enjoy that journey, that process, rather than I would rather do that than be one of these artists who does the same thing like all their career. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like if you have a recipe and you and it's a really good fucking recipe, and you rinse and repeat, it's like like some people have built whole careers off of that, and have become like just like the greatest producers because they've like perfected it. They've perfected that sound. So but for me, I just I like to be able to do different things. So that was the only sort of hurdle really, getting over that. So
I think just the fact that you made it out of the blog era alive and intact is a reward in itself as well. So many careers, so many fantastic producers and DJs, things came to a screeching halt around 2011, 2012, where it was like, now that I don't have Hype Machine as accessible, and now that I don't have these blogs, and what the fuck is a blog, and no one's even reading these anymore, like things went to a halt.
And that actually happened. So I was, I don't know if you remember this. I'm sure you guys are all still on SoundCloud, but when SoundCloud was like the hot property, like maybe like 2011, 2013, something like that, it was like, obviously you had like massive names coming out of there, like K-Tronada and people like that, all because of SoundCloud. But I don't know if you remember, but slightly after then, it was 2015, SoundCloud were like, I don't know why, I think they just like changed their business model or something, but they were like, any kind of copyright on SoundCloud, they were coming after people.
Universal.
So you had like 3 strikes. So the first one was if you had something, that was copyrighted, it would get pulled. The second one, I think they limited your like, you couldn't upload anymore or something. And then the third one was, that's it, you're out. Like they cut you off. So and obviously that era was like all about like bootlegs. So it was like, remix this, remix that. It was like, like the Wild West. So and I had a bunch of stuff on my SoundCloud, and because of that, I'd like built up like a good number. I think I had like over 100,000 followers, and then slowly but surely, like I got like 1 strike. So I was like, that's okay. It's just the 1. I'll be fine. And then the second and the third like came like straight after each other. Like I couldn't do anything. It was like straight away. So I lost it, and I like wrote to SoundCloud, and I was like, please, like, can you reverse this? Is there something we can do? Is there, but they were just having none of it. So I literally had to start again. I had to start up another SoundCloud and like start from square one. So I was I was hit hard by that. So
and that's not fair to anyone that does sample-based production as well. There's such a crackdown now, and I have read a few interviews from you as well, and sampling has changed everything. Sampling derivatives and all of that, even looking back to the Robin Thicke, Marvin Gaye, and all of that whole case, whereas like, what's going to get flagged on something like SoundCloud? What's going to be acceptable on something like Spotify? Because you see things fly under the radar all the time where you're like, there's no way you license that sample. There's no, and you just wait and see what happens, kind of take it on the chin after you get a slap on the wrist, or what happens.
But then some songs just stay on there too.
Yeah. You know, and now I don't know specifically, you guys might know better than this, but what constitutes an acceptable cover? How can you get away with covering a song? And what does that breakdown look like?
The interesting thing that I've found is content ID on YouTube. So YouTube have content ID where let's say you put up like a DJ mix or something, and like certain sections of your DJ mix will get like flagged, but it won't be like taken down. It just means that like they can monetize, they can put ads on your video or whatever and make money. But what I found is that like for certain songs, like they don't mind if you do a bootleg or if you do a remix. So it will be flagged by the content ID as the original, even though it's a remix. And so they're getting paid because they can put ads on it and they can make money from the ads. But you still get to keep your song on YouTube. It doesn't get taken down. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. So as much as a lot of people like complain about content ID, I feel like I wish there were like an equivalent like on SoundCloud or like even on Spotify. Like how cool would that be to like, I don't know, somehow find a way of like being able to do bootlegs and stuff, but without like going down the channels of sample clearance, you know, just like an automated thing where it's like, we can hear that you've used some of the original, so we're going to somehow monetize this, somehow make money, and you're free to do it still. So but yeah, I mean, it's such a, even now, like you'd think sampling's been around for like so long now, but you'd think they'd finally have like a solution to it. But it's such like a and clearing a sample still, it's the old system still. You know, it's like you have to find who owns the publishing, you have to clear the publishing side, you have to clear the master side. Then like depending on who you've sampled, like they'll want a big like advance, a big fee, a big payout. So, and it just seems like such a, I don't know, like
like such a old, like, and there hasn't been a new way of doing it.
But is that the workaround though? Is that the new way?
There is. You mean like the YouTube credit?
Yeah.
I mean, they'll have to, in order to do that. So YouTube would have to like work out a deal with like Warner Brothers, for example.
Okay. Right.
And so they approve anything that's under the Warner Brothers umbrella. You can monetize. So that's why if you do upload a mix to YouTube, it like gets scanned, and then you get like a list of songs, like your songs get listed and all that. But that's not necessarily like, that's pre-approved. That's not necessarily a like if you made a bootleg or something and you need to clear a sample, that's not necessarily the system for that.
Right.
If you were to put that out, like if you put out a song that sampled, I don't know, anything.
Yeah.
You still have to fucking reach out to the people who own the publishing and the masters and all this jazz. Like you're basically still writing letters. Like it's still very much the same system we were using in the 80s.
Right. So the workaround, I'm just working this out in my head. So
and the thing is as well, like for like actual sampling, I know there's websites like Tracklib now, right? So you can like, it's like pre-approved songs in their catalog or whatever. Which is cool, and I wish that like so much more music was in their catalog, but I've gone on their website and I've seen what catalog they have, and there's like, you know, only a few like 100 songs. It's like, you know, where's all the good shit?
Exactly. And that's what I was just gonna say. All the shit that's like dope that you want to sample, it's like, and also I hate to even say this, but it's like almost kind of corny,
right?
Like because it's already pre-approved, like it's there for you to sample. Like you want to dig, you want to find something cool.
But aren't we getting closer and closer to it, to where everything is going to be pre-approved with all these artists selling off their masters? Is that where that's coming into play, or does that only work for like television. That's why they're selling off their masters. They're selling off their masters to get on commercials, to get better placing, not so much in that sample pool.
It's a payout, isn't it? That's why they do it. Is because labels don't pay advances anymore.
Right.
So it's like, well, if I can sell off my publishing, because that's the thing. Like, loads of websites and stuff like to say, "Oh, this artist sold off all the publishing and blah 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 blah."
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think there's like a written law where, so like a publishing is kind of split into like, obviously there's the master side and there's the publishing side, but the publishing side itself is split into two, which is like your publisher and your share, which is the writer's share. So, and the writer's share, like, as far as I can tell, they still have that. They're just giving away the publishing share. So it's like, that's the payout. So that they can do their publishing deal can do whatever they want with it. But I think they keep the writer's share. So, and I swear in law, it's written that you will always have your writer's share. Like, you can't sell it off. Like, you will always have it. Mm-hmm. So even with these big deals, it's like they're still making royalties. They're just making less royalties
than you would have. Yeah.
Right. You're getting your NFL guarantee money. Yeah. Plus a little bit on the back end with the incentives. So,
it's really interesting because, like, in a sense, that system hasn't changed. Like, in the way that, like, the ownership part of it hasn't changed. What you can do with those assets is barely evolving. Where I can see, like, they're trying to, like, by making these like sample banks and things like that. Where it's like royalty-free music, where people are making music with the intention of it being sampled, which, good idea. I just don't think it's that appealing, to be honest, unless it's like commercial work or like, I don't know, if we were to make like a theme song for this show and we just needed sample-free something that we just needed to have on Spotify and Apple, like for those uses, it's fine. But like, if we're trying to make some cool shit, I don't want to use that.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It almost seems as if too, the songs that they give you to be sampled, it's much more of a win for the original producers, where they're like, finally someone's gonna hear this song that came out in '82 and that no one listened to. You're like, yeah, I guess, dude, that's all I have on here. There's 99 other songs, so yeah. But it seems like, and it has to go mention, the blog era simply wouldn't exist. Under these parameters now of what's being cracked down on and what's they're letting pass, none of, Sebastian, for a perfect example, all of his stuff was sample based. Wazo, it was so much sample based stuff like that. Let's not even get into Daft Punk. Well, these songs were coming out and they weren't cleared. It was just like, here it is,
Let's not get into Lil Wayne's mixtape run.
Lil Wayne, or an artist like Girl Talk, which is 100% sample based.
Yeah,
there's not, and then we get into the discussion of, are you limiting the art for your own personal gain?
You but I suppose like the best example of this is the Grey album, right? Which was the Beatles and Jay-Z and Danger Mouse put the two together, right? It's like the best example because it's like, obviously you're not allowed to sample the Beatles, it's like a no-go area. Don't even try it. They won't clear it. And it's like, he does this hip-hop album, and like hip-hop at that time was like, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Before now, it's like, now hip-hop's everywhere. Hip-hop's like, the most listened to probably genre of anything. But at the time, it was like, starting to get like more and more like in the kind of pop world.
Yeah, it was in this Bloghouse era at that time.
But it's like, it was just a statement piece, because it was like, I swear he like
was a mixtape. He didn't release it.
Right. Correct.
Didn't he like he I swear he like printed out a bunch of like CDs and then like went into record stores and like put it on the shelf. Like,
like they weren't for sale. You just have them.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just the best marketing ever. And he obviously didn't care about getting sued or didn't care about this, didn't care about that. So it's like, and what could they have really done? Because as far as I could tell, like, it was obviously Jay-Z's like acapellas, but all the music, it was just manipulated Beatles samples. Like there was nothing added. It was just like manipulated samples. So, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like
it just seems
too much effort to chase or to like you know, clear it. You know, it's like here it is. It's all Beatles samples. You know, like that's
and it's free. I didn't make anything off of it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really like the real loophole is like, I made this and I'm not making any profit off of it. And there's no channel for you to get money off of it. It's not on Spotify. It's not on Apple. It's only on, you know, it's only on free. It's on my Bandcamp, but I'm giving it away.
Yeah.
And then you get booked for shows. And then, you know, maybe that'll get you another gig where you can make original music. But it's tricky and it sucks because, like, I mean, De La Soul's whole story is their music was locked up for 20 plus years because they couldn't clear samples.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I swear I read before that like it's cheaper to get sued for a sample than it is to clear samples.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess depending on the sample, it makes sense.
Yeah, you know.
And that's why people don't do it. That's why people don't clear, because it's like, you know.
Chasey Chapman got that money from Nicki Minaj. Song never came out.
There's a Tracy Chapman.
Oh yeah. It's not Fast Car. Yeah. Nicki is rapping on top of that beat, and it never came out. Never saw the light of day. I mean, snippets of it came out, and Tracy got wind of it and sued her.
Tracy's like the Beatles. You know, nothing, she is. Yeah, nothing is going on. But that's what happens when you make, you know, one banger album and just kind of like, you know, you're like, I'm good. Like, I'm chilling. You know, it's really interesting to see, and you know, kind of circling back to what you mentioned with the SoundCloud issues. SoundCloud made that announcement. We're doing DJ mixes now. And after so many people got their accounts pulled, you know, and it's like, you're not out for us. You're not on the side of the DJ. You're not on the side of the producer, the podcaster. And
they're on the side of the label. They're getting paid from the labels.
Yeah. You know, they're like, oh, now come on and drop a DJ mix. And it's like, I'm not even inspired to put one up because I didn't want the strike from before. I still have PTSD. You know,
they still took down my Drake mix.
That's Drake. You can't mess with the Drake.
Yeah,
Beatles. Drake. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's such a slippery slope that it feels like it's limiting the art, that it's squeezing back the music and the amount of music coming out. And if you're not playing ball in these parameters or putting out a 100% original production, which is, you know, like compared to a sample, people are always going to dive towards a sample unless you're, you know, dropping a virtuoso track.
And that's why, like, right now, this whole conversation is really important because of the whole AI thing. AI has now just like broke down all these walls that like sampling has had. And it's like, if they don't update copyright laws like soon, then it's like, it's just going to be a complete shit show and you can do whatever you want. Which is kind of what we want. But at the same time, like, you know, labels and, you know, the original artist, be it a painter or somebody's photograph or whatever, the same way that an original song, like, if people are pissed off and they want some sort of compensation, some sort of money from it, then, you know,
so
they're going to have to change the law.
Yeah, how does that work? Because, you know, a new Drake song is coming out every single day now. With
kind of crazy because they just make a song in the style of Drake.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can't copyright a voice because the thing is, it's like how is it gonna know? Like, because at the minute, going back to like the content ID thing, content ID works because of a waveform, right? So it like analyzes the waveform and it matches it to like a match in its database and goes, this is this. But if it's like these Drake songs that are coming out where, you know, there's that video that's been doing the rounds where, you know, a guy rapped or whatever and then replaced his voice with Drake's voice.
Right.
How do you like police that? You can't, because it's like it's an original piece that somebody's written lyrics to and rapped, but it's the copyrighted part is Drake's voice. But you can't.
It's a voice filter.
Right. But you can't copyright it.
No. So
that's fucked up.
It is.
And so now we're on the other side of it. We're the artists now. We're being like, hold on, we need to we need to do something about it. You guys can't just be stealing people's art.
Someone protect Frank Ocean right now. Yeah, you know, like
it's wild.
It's I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you for it or against it? Like, I personally, I don't give a shit about hearing an AI flip a Kanye song, write a Kanye beat. Just give me the original. Give me the artist. Yeah, I'm not wooed and wowed by. It's interesting.
It is.
Don't get me wrong. It's definitely interesting. But no one is going to go to their car and be like, "Hey, turn on that fake Drake song."
What if they do? That's the scary part.
That is the scary part.
If somebody makes a fake Drake song that's like fire? And that like goes up, and it's like, yo, that's not even Drake. And people are like, I don't give a shit. The song's fire.
It's gonna
Drake's like, hold the fuck on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing that happened with that Drake Michael Jackson song, right?
Right.
Mike's kids came out and said, hey, that don't sound like my daddy.
Yeah.
That ain't Michael Jackson. You're like,
that ain't my daddy.
I don't know. That shit's nuts, bro. Like and we're at the very, I don't want to say the very beginning. It took time to get here, but we're at a very early stage of this AI shit.
Right.
So it's very interesting to see, like, it's gonna be a problem. There's no doubt in my mind that this very thing will become an issue. Somebody will put out a song that does become a hit that isn't Drake or whoever. You know what I mean?
Well, what companies slow down on their AI shit? They're like, hey, we just need to slow down on this. This is getting too out of control.
I wouldn't doubt if it was Chat. What's that Chat?
It might have been Chat GPT.
GPT, yeah. I wouldn't doubt it's them because they're the most popular one. Yeah. People are also so I can't remember where, but they were doing this thing where they were, sorry to derail, but they were basically asking it to write songs in the style of artists. And so they would do like summertime songs, because there's a rabbit hole we can go down later, is there's not a lot of summertime rap songs that talk about the beach.
Right.
Very specific, but rappers don't talk about the beach.
This is the thing though. Black people don't go to the beach
like
that though.
That's why it's AI. That's why it's AI.
Fully clothed. Like black people go to the beach and you'll see them in full socks and shoes.
Yes.
So
is that in the song? Socks and shoes on the beach?
So yeah, so that's what they were trying to make Chat GPT write rap songs about going to the beach, and they would be like in the style of Kendrick Lamar, in the style of Dr. Dre, in the style of whoever, but a lot of them the lyrics were similar, but it would pick up like, and they would like, okay, let's do Bob Dylan, and it really depends on how big that artist library is that can go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But a lot of the times, if you were like similar genres, it would kind of be the same lyrical kind. So it's not that smart yet.
They don't got Bob Dylan dropping the N-word though in the songs though.
No. It was a totally different thing. That'd be wild. Wild. But like the Dre, Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar versions, like the verses weren't that different.
That makes sense.
The bars weren't that different. But then when you go to like, they would do like Bob Dylan and I don't know, some other folky type singer, and the lyrics were kind of similar as well.
Yeah.
So it doesn't
make sense
because
Jay and Drake wrote for Dre.
Right. So like all sense. Similar, and which there's overlapping themes. Maybe that's why they were very similar. But if we pick somebody like even dramatically different, maybe it would be. But I don't know. I don't think it's as smart as people. As far as writing goes, it's not as clever. But like, if you wrote a song, if a human wrote a song in the style of Drake, and then throws the vocal thing on top, that's when it can get scary, because that's when it's like, anybody can write a style. We've seen it throughout history, people writing on behalf of other people to sound like them, but like all you got to do is throw your fucking voice filter over it.
Y'all think Quentin Miller's out there messing around with Chat GPT?
He's out here making
Quentin Miller's dropping Drake tracks, man. Like, it's fire, bro.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at all.
This is the thing with any artist that was thinking about doing a reunion. They're like, I don't have to now. You know, I don't have to give you a Talking Heads reunion because you have the robots doing it now.
Dog, they can literally do reunions with dead artists. Like,
it's crazy. It's crazy. And like you said, it's the tip of the iceberg. It's until something goes very wrong, they're just gonna keep it going.
We're gonna get a new Nirvana album. Like, this has potential to be. Remember how freaked out we were by the projectors,
the hologram.
Holograms freaked us all the fuck out. Seeing Tupac fucked us up. Even though Tupac was a little beefier than he was in real life.
He was.
That was at Coachella. That was Coachella, right?
Yeah, Coachella, Tupac was like 30 pounds heavier than he really was. He was diesel.
There's a weird era where we as a society in the United States just ran out of ideas, and they're like, fuck it, hologram Tupac.
They just started hologramming everything. Hologram Michael Jackson was bad.
Bad. Everyone in that boardroom was like, yeah, run it. Let's do it at Coachella. They'll never notice. They're rolling.
That was crazy. That one was nuts.
Yeah, you know. And then everyone that wasn't at Coachella was like, fuck this.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. What the hell?
I'm not paying $600 for a cheeseburger to go see hologram Tupac. You know, like, God. But this is not what we do on this podcast at all.
Yeah, what we do.
This is exactly what we do on this podcast.
This is exactly what we do.
This is precisely what
God damn it. We're here to
rail and go deep.
Yeah. Someone's going to make a whole Chat GPT of this entire conversation.
Oh, that'd be great.
It'll be completely different.
God, please make a GPT of our show.
That'd be great.
What we do every week, we compare two artists head to head, their top 5 songs as viewed most popular on Spotify. I like this one because we came into it with our guest giving a suggestion, and I'm not sure if Travis followed.
Oh snap! I didn't follow the suggestion.
Okay, well then we can get into that at another time.
I still think
I totally forgot about that. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, then you have something good.
I like my pick.
Let's hear it.
I definitely like my pick.
Let's hear it.
So we have like 2 kind of heavyweights, man. And you know me, I like to keep it with the divas around here. So today's pick, we got an old and new. Diana Ross versus Billie Eilish.
Okay. That's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
What is the overlap on that? Is there one? Have they performed together?
They haven't performed together, but my train of thought was just the fact that, you know, they were both just young superstars. You know, Billie Eilish has, you know, the trajectory of Diana Ross superstardom, you know.
Sure.
So, this feels like a Hall & Oates Outcast.
It kind of is. That's kind of the route that I took.
Okay, let's hear it. Round 1.
All right, round 1, Endless Love versus Lovely featuring Khalid. So Endless Love, Diana Ross versus Billie Eilish, Lovely. Lovely's kind of a new song, but it's a fire song.
Let's start with Brett.
I'm going to go with Diana Ross. I know Endless Love is kind of cheesy and dated, but it's still it's still a classic. Do you know what I mean?
Still a song that you want to sing on the ice rink.
Yeah.
Anybody got that reference?
It's quintessential ice rink. Genre ice rink.
Genre ice rink.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. It's one of those songs, if I never heard it again, that's okay.
Right.
You know, but I'm not less invested than a Billie Eilish song. I will say that. So yeah.
I'm going Endless Love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Round two. Diana Ross, I'm Coming Out versus Billie Eilish, TV.
That's easy, right?
That's easy. That's an easy one. That should be a sweep. Neek, you're not saying anything.
Yeah, that's easy.
Is it easy because of Puffy and Biggie?
No.
And Bass? Is that why it's easy?
Even though that's a great song, I just think it's good on its own.
Yeah, it is.
It's just like classic Nile, isn't it? It's classic Nile Rodgers. It's like the chord progression, the weird kind of timing of it. It's just like it's one of those songs where it's like it stands out from the disco era because of that, because it's like a little off kilter, a little bit weird, like kind of weird chord progression, kind of slightly jazzy, and that's why it works, and that's why it kind of sticks in your mind. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna throw a corkscrew in this.
Let's see it.
This is for Brett. Are your top 3 songs from Nile? Are any of them Chic songs?
Yeah. Stage Fright. There's a Chic song called Stage Fright, and it's great. Again, weird timing. Like things come in on the like the third beat or something. So it's like a weird kind of, and then it's I swear it's not 4/4. It might be like 6/4 or something. Like 6 beats in the bar or whatever. So yeah, I love that song.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just curious because you could definitely go a route where all of your favorite Nile songs are collaborative.
100%.
You know, or even just working with Bowie or working with, you know, the list is endless.
Shoot, I mean, you can go like to today's age and with his work with Beyonce and The Weeknd, Daft Punk, yeah, like dude,
little group of DJs,
Daft Punk, right? Just a little group,
little group you might have heard of. Round 3, what do we got?
Round 3, Upside Down versus Happier Than Ever. 2 very pop songs.
Mine's just gonna be Diana every time.
I like Billie Eilish, but I'm never gonna pick her over a Diana.
Okay, all right. So is Diana just gonna sweep this? I mean, I think so.
I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would say so. Since it was mentioned when we initially started this podcast, Jam and Lewis were mentioned, suggested from Brett. I want to hear your top 3 Jam and Lewis if you have any opinion on that.
Oh man, that's like asking to pick your favorite child or something. Oh man,
it spans such a big chunk of time too, which is wild.
Yeah, probably. I mean, if we're doing like eras, probably in the 80s, maybe like maybe something they did for Alexandra O'Neal, like what's that song called? I'm gonna have to pull up my Spotify here.
I was doing the same thing.
Called? Yeah, what is that song called? It is called If You Were Here Tonight. That song is absolutely masterpiece. But I'd pick that from the 80s. 90s probably maybe Got Till It's Gone for Janet.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that was just like such a, I don't know, just getting Q-Tip on it and everything. It was just like genius. And then 2000s. I mean, they kind of dropped off a little in the 2000s, but maybe Scream with Michael and Janet, because, you know, it's just the production on that. Like, I don't know if you've ever gone through the multi-track, but if you go through the multi-track and you hear all the different layers, it's such an unusual song. Like the way they built that up, like just such a weird like selection of sounds.
Yeah,
like
and go ahead.
I swear, like there's as a snare, I swear there's like a like breaking of glass, and it's literally every single snare is like ksh, 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 throughout the entire song.
Yeah,
it's crazy,
and it's just good to hear Michael Jackson on Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam beats.
So cool. Like it's now in retrospect, now that like we're all a little bit more like, I don't know, educated in music, it's fucking cool to be like, oh shit, Michael Jackson was on, they did a whole ass album with them.
Yeah, man.
That song and that video, the video
was the most expensive video at the time.
Most expensive video, yeah. And it just seemed like, it seems from an era that we haven't even lived in yet. It seems like it's from something in the year 3000. Just listening to it, watching it, like.
What sucked about that video for me though is their chemistry. Even though, you know, their chemistry kind of pops off, it just looking back on it.
They didn't like each other at the time.
Yeah,
right?
And then hearing the Janet documentary and her interview about it, they weren't getting along at the time. And then like watching the video back again, you could see it. You can see how the chemistry is off, man. That was the unfortunate part about that, because man,
it's such a funny era. Like, just to bring it back to how like it feels like it's from the future. What year did Scream come out? Like,
Scream was on the History album, which
wasn't it like 95?
95.
96?
Yeah.
Like,
I think it was 95. 95, 96.
Mid to late 90s. Super CGI'd and green screen. And it looks good. But it's crazy to look at it, because it's like, this is also the era where like we're coming towards the end of the analog era, so and like digital media hasn't become what it is now, where it's like MTV does making the video and it's like an hour-long episode, and we're getting this huge rollout and this world premiere of a music video, which we never get anymore. So it like feels like this monumental moment, because they're telling you it's a monumental moment, and we kind of hold on to that.
Yeah, but it lived up to it.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm not saying it didn't. I guess what I'm saying is like, because of the promo that comes with it, and now we watch it and we remember what it was like to them like roll out this whole like event out of a music video. We're all like, oh my god, they were in the future. They're literally in space. Like, if it still feels like it's ahead of its time.
No one leaked that video either, right? Like, it was legitimately the first time you were seeing it.
Oh yeah.
No, I think there was because I
mean there was like behind the scenes stuff
with
like Entertainment Tonight and whatnot, but yeah, that was before like anything would be leaked.
Yeah, it was way beyond. Like, Waterfalls was an expensive video, and at the time it was the most. But I think it beat out Waterfalls.
Both videos I think were by Dave Meyers, right?
I wouldn't doubt it, because they're very similar in style. Obviously not in theme, but in style.
Going back to Got Till It's Gone, what do you guys think about the Jay Dilla rumor?
After finishing Dilla Time, the book, they say that, well, Dilla was like, that's not my beat. They stole my beat. Like, that's Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam stealing my beat. Which is crazy interesting.
I have a theory that, like, again, I've gone through the multi-track of this, and in the multi-track you can hear like the drums straight, and then you can hear the drums with like swing on them from the MPC.
Yeah.
And everything in that multi-track adds up to what Jimmy Jam has said in interviews before. Like, he didn't know how to put swing on the drums, and then he got like an engineer in. He said, "Oh, you just press this button and you do it," and that's in there. And then he also says about like playing in like the main keys, like as if he was drunk, kind of thing, like the Jay Dilla kind of swing thing. Everything he says is in there, and then obviously there is a Jay Dilla remix of the song that I think was like a promo only thing. Like, it wasn't actually on the B-side, but it was on like the promo that went out like first. And my theory is that maybe the label or maybe Jam and Lewis or whoever was like in charge like fucked him over in the sense of like they put the promo out and then because it was never a B-side, he kind of took it personally and was like, you know,
what the
I
fuck?
thought I was going to be on the release and I wasn't. So I feel like maybe he misspoke. Maybe that's what he's pissed off about, not the fact that he wrote the song and then Jam and Lewis came in and said this is ours now, because purely because everything that Jimmy Jam has said over the years matches with what's in the multi-track. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm kind of like, I'm both ways about it. Like I love the song. I think it's a masterpiece, but
of course.
But I'm like, is it JD or not? I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't know. It sounds like a JD style beat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what's interesting about that era is like JD wasn't popular, but amongst producers who knew, like, this is crazy. Like, you know, people like Music Soul Child were putting out music that sounded like that.
I mean, the Tupac song, the "Do for Love" or whatever, that 100%, 100%, that was just cutting up of a a JD instrumental or whatever, and rearranging.
Those guys, I forgot who did the beat on that. But that was mentioned too, where they were like, "Yeah, Do for Love" was a complete JD ripoff. There is I think, and it might be the same guys. They're like these Swiss producers. These two white guys from like Switzerland and the Netherlands making beats that sounded like Dilla beats. And like if there was a bunch of like copycats. So when I heard it's so funny, for years in my Serato I had Got Till It's Gone, and in parentheses it says produced by Jay Dilla, and I would keep forgetting to delete it until recently. And I'm like, that's wrong. I don't know who put that there, but
yeah. Does that change the trajectory of Dilla if he gets that placement on Janet?
I don't know. I don't think so. Because
I don't think so either.
No.
I only don't think so because like it wasn't his, and the Jay Dilla remix I don't think is as good, to be honest. And at the time when he was alive, he was working with big artists. But I don't think people were feeling Dilla as much as we were after he died. I think the Dilla that people became fanatics over was late Dilla, the lo-fi hip-hop Dilla.
Which then essentially had its movement after for the whole genre.
Donuts.
Yeah.
And that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Started what became lo-fi beats to study too.
Yeah. I think that the song for me that like completely made me like question everything in the way that I sampled and the way that I chopped things up was Move, which is the Q-Tip song, and like Q-Tip took his instrumental and then rapped over it. And it's a Jackson 5 sample, and he'd like pitched it down, but the way in which he chops it is just like there's no other Jay Dilla song like it, in my opinion. It's so like unique and so like different.
The half a vocal, like the
and it's like he didn't care about where the vocal was. It was just all about like
the rhythm.
Yeah, the rhythm of it, and the vocal just comes in and out every now and then, like at pure random.
Yeah,
it's just like
that's Jay Dilla.
Yeah,
that's the fucking secret sauce,
the essence of him.
We're here for the groove, and if there happens to be a vocal in it, we're gonna write the song around it.
Yeah,
like that's part of the song now.
No one else would have cut it that way.
No way.
No. Everyone and that's the problem with music nowadays. It's too polished. It's too pristine. It's been through so many effects and so many filters and so much everything to where you don't get that raw grittiness, that swing. You don't get any, it's just very uniform music.
It's so funny. People are like, and I've gone back and like, obviously I'm 33. So like, I wasn't there as a grown up with like refined taste when Bizarre Ride dropped, or when the Love Movement dropped. So when there's fans who were there, and I've heard older DJs be like, nobody was feeling that Dilla shit. Like people felt like Dilla ruined groups when he stepped in to produce, which I'm like, I love this shit. Like, I thought the Love Movement was great. I thought Bizarre Ride is dope. Like, so it's crazy to me to think that like people were just not in on Dilla, or like even the day like Stakes is High, people weren't in. And I'm like, how? Like, I don't. But
because they wanted
it's just so different.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's different.
Yeah.
And the same way we hear stuff, at least I hear stuff from an artist I love, and when they change, regardless good or bad, my initial reaction is, I'm good. Like, this is not.
It's the same with like any album or release that like completely changes like the trajectory of where this artist lives. Like the best example is Kid A by Radiohead, because it's like, at the time, people were like, "Oh, this is too electronic. Like, what are they doing? Like, you know, where's the guitars? Where's the this? Where's that?" And you know, it's like it's one of those things where it's like, in hindsight, looking back on it, it's like one of the best pieces of work they ever did. But at the time, people were like, "I'm not too sure."
No way,
like,
it's not a rock album.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's those paradigm shifts though that make those big impressions. You know, I think, and we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, and I would love to hear your take on it. Anytime Skrillex releases something, everything kind of shifts a little bit to a different direction, especially, you know.
Well, to me, I've heard both his new albums, and the one that impressed me more is not the one with the porcupine on, the other one. And but to me, when I heard that, when I listened to it for the first time, it's just a UK album. Yeah. Like there's so much of the UK in that album. Like from start to finish. Yeah. Like it's like the early kind of dubstep sound creeps back in, the garage sound creeps in, the grime sound creeps in, like UK hip hop. Like there's so much in it that's grounded in the UK. And now, obviously, he's hanging around with, you know, Fred. Like Fortet and Fred. So it's you know, it's no secret, you know, where he probably took inspiration from. But it's just like, it's quite funny that he's like almost taken it back to basics, because he's almost done like full circle. You know, he started in dubstep, then he was like too electro and too heavy for the, you know, like the OG dubstep crew. Yeah. And then he kind of took it and ran with it, and dubstep became this whole other thing. Then he kind of like basically turned his back on it for like a number of years, and like the dog blood stuff, and like you know, decided to be like more house. And then he went and did the pop stuff, and now he's sort of come back again to the dubstep stuff, but there's still a lot of house and techno in there, and it's like a mishmash of all the different stuff. But yeah, to me, when I first heard it, I was just like, you know, it's such a UK record. It's crazy.
From your perspective, and feel free to tell it like it is, do you think American dubstep ruined the dubstep sound?
I don't think it ruined it, but I think it was just it was a whole other thing. It shouldn't have been called dubstep. It was almost like a different genre, because when you listen to especially like the really, really early dubstep stuff, and I'm talking like 2003, 2004 dubstep, like the really early days, it's like there's a little bit of garage in there still. Like there's the swing from garage in there, and like the off kilter kind of beats and stuff, and not quantized and everything. But then there's also like the dubby influence, and like when Skrillex and like a lot of the Americans kind of like took it and ran with it, it was like it became more about who has the biggest wob, and like how aggressive can it be and everything. But it was never that. It was almost like kind of chill, you know. It was like it was all about the repetition, and like like I say, like the dub part of it was everything. So if anything, dubstep was more close to like dub and reggae than like garage, or anything like that, or anything kind of electronic. So but I mean, there's loads of great like American dubstep songs, but it was kind of like closer to drum and bass than it was to actual dubstep. So
it's more jumble too. It's more drum and bass, and I feel like the melodic stuff, like the Mount Eden stuff like that, kind of got lost in that, which was some of the most fun of that time. Where my intro in the States was Screamin' Benga, and hearing Benga Night and being like, what, this is perfect, and then I think from the stateside, that distortion era knob just kind of got turned up, and they were like, we're hearing some of these really brash noises from like Justice and stuff like that. We can go harder, we can go heavier, and it turned into metal essentially, because it was always kind of teetering. Shit. It was always kind of teetering on that, and then it went into headbanging dubstep and stuff like that. But I think
so funny how it adopted that,
right?
Like electronic music,
isn't that weird?
America just has to go, full blown everything, like bigger explosions.
It's just hair metal again.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's funny though, because like that time when Skrillex started to get quite big, like 2007-ish, 2008-ish, maybe even slightly before then. Here in the UK, we'd kind of moved on from the Screamin' Benga kind of sound, and now it was like that kind of post-garage kind of sound, like Burial. And Burial put out his second album, Untrue, and it was like, that was like the London record. It sounded like London, sounded like the UK. And that's kind of where we headed. Like, that's where like the UK kind of dubstep sound headed, which was kind of more garage and more chill and almost more ambient. Whereas in the States, it was like, ripping
to the wall out.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Excision and, just the biggest of the big. What brought you to disco? How did you initially, because from the States and over by you, I'm sure there was a lot of, Paradise Garage is in New York, Studio 54 is in New York, there's a Detroit movement. It's all kind of state-centric. What landed you on that disco sound?
Hold up. Can we appreciate the fact that when you brought up disco, he was about to take a sip and then he put that
I just quick. I was like, no. I need to pay attention now.
What are we sipping?
What we got?
Pepsi? Oh no, it's just Pepsi. It's boring. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure.
There you go.
We'll get into that later. Yeah. More pressing issues at the
moment. Put simply, it was sampling. That was like my gateway into disco, because a lot of the French house stuff like relied on disco samples and funk samples. And in the early days, before I kind of went down the road of writing original music and no samples, that's all I would do. I just crate dig all the time, go to local like record shops and stuff and try and find really rare stuff. And that kind of just rubbed off on me, because it was like, okay, I like this producer. What else has he done? I like that guitar player on this song. What else has he done? And like that kind of led down this path of kind of discovery. And then when I actually came to sort of move away from samples, because I realized what a pain in the ass sample clearance was, I kind of was so influenced by that stuff. And so it kind of came naturally to write kind of funk and disco stuff. And also like the 80s, I mean, I was born in 1990, but the the 80s really, even now, still has such a big impact on me, because as a kid, that's all you would hear on the radio. And so that's always interests me as well. And like the recording techniques of the 80s and stuff. So I kind of put the two together. So it's, in more recent years, I've kind of started to go down the pop kind of road, but for a long time I've been down the disco road. And just the different recording techniques and like gear that they had at the time, and trying to find like a modern equivalent of what they were doing, because half the gear is thousands of pounds now. So so I quite like that challenge, and to I really like now to trying to like fool the listener. So it's like, is what you're hearing a sample, or is it not a sample? And there's a guy in the UK actually called Hal Ritson, and he has a project called the Young Punks, and he like puts out lots of music as the Young Punks. But his day job is replaying samples. So he's done everyone. He's done like Kanye, and he's done like biggest of the big. And on his website, I think it's called Replay Heaven. He shows you like a snippet of the original song and then a snippet of his replay, and it's like in so many times it's like near enough identical. It's like if you were playing this and told me it was the original, I'd believe you. It's like he's so good at it. And when I kind of got pally with him, I kind of asked him about so many different techniques. I was like, how can I make my drums sound like a sample, or what does he do to this, to that, to kind of make it sound more like an original, more like a old record or old recording or whatever. So that's kind of
I thought
where I'm still at.
I thought you were just about to be like, and this is what he did. I was like,
mainly like staying true to like, so for example, if you have like let's say you want to go down like a 60s drum sound, it's like making sure the kit is like mainly mono, because obviously they didn't really have stereo then, but also like putting reverb directly on the kit, because at the time like they didn't really have like a room sound, and then it was literally mic'd up in the room, and then the sound of the room was in the recording. Whereas when you move to the 70s, it's like there's more like multi-track drums, and everything's like isolated, so it's like everything becomes cleaner. But then also like in like the 60s, everything's more like distorted and more like heavier compression and stuff, compared to the 70s, when people kind of like it was all about the layering, and like in disco, for example, like using gates, like gated white noise over the top of a snare drum. Like they did that all the time in the 70s to like give the snare like more snap and stuff. So it's like little techniques like that where you pick it up as you go along, or you speak to someone like Hal, and they like that's something that's almost it sounds like an obvious thing, but when you're like approaching a song from like a modern perspective, you're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stick. You don't think maybe I should stick this in mono. You just kind of keep going, or even like the EQ. I mean, obviously nowadays we've got such a like a wider range of EQ to play around with, but back then, like by the time things were transferred to tape and stuff and reel to reels, like all the top end would be like cut off, and you'd lose some of the bottom end. And so it's all that kind of stuff where it's like the combination of all these different simple techniques, but when you put it all together, it makes it sound really convincing. And the other thing is noise, like putting vinyl noise in the background of some drums, or like putting tape noise, like a tape hiss in the background, things like that. It's like that's what makes it sound more convincing and more like as if it were a sample.
Especially with like EQing, because a lot of times you'll listen to like 60s rock, for example, you're just like, where the fuck is the kick? Like, there's no kick drum on this song. Like, you hear it, but you don't feel it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a result of probably dubbing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess that was my beef with Silk Sonic's album, right? You know, I wanted it to be more dirty. I wanted it to be more
it was like
unpolished.
70s. It was like 70s inspired, but very modern sounding.
Yeah.
Right. I think like that's my biggest issue with a lot of like, especially because we're going through this kind of 80s thing at the moment, you know, people like The Weeknd and stuff. It's like 80s inspired, but it's still a modern production with modern drums and everything. It's just the chord progression that makes it 80s, or like the reverb or something that makes it 80s. But it's like nothing about it in the actual studio is very throwback. It's modern drums, modern synths, you know, everything, but they're just trying to make it sound retro without using, you know, techniques or the sounds of the era. And as soon as you do that, it doesn't take a lot of time to kind of do that. If you just limit yourself to the equipment that they had at the time, that limitation alone is like enough to make it sound old, you know?
Here's your Lindrum and hit record. That's it. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's your Akai drum machine, and we'll go after it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, and it really pisses me off actually, is we always stick to the same drum machines all the fucking time. It's always the Lindrum, and it's always the 808, and it's always the 909. And it's like, there's so many other drum machines. Like if people actually like, it doesn't take long you can go on the internet and like download like thousands of drum kits for free, like old drum machines and stuff. And it's like, some of them, like especially in the like middle 80s, there's so many drum machines that people like have forgotten about or just don't talk about anymore. And some of them are great. Like some of them are like sample based, and some of them are more like, you know, analog or whatever. But they're just like, we like the sound of the 808, but there's only so many times you can change the stock sounds.
Right.
Because I think people who aren't in the know, I guess, don't know exactly what an 808 is. Like I hate when people refer to bass lines as 808s. It's like, oh, we need more 808, and it's like the whole drum kit could be an 808.
Right.
Any part of that could be an 808. Like, is that an 808 drum bass? Is probably what you're asking, but
this feels like making music out of necessity. It feels very much like no risk. Like, we got to get this album out. I guaranteed the label 4 albums. We need these drums. These are tried and true. I just need a song to fucking land. Instead of, look how weird that kid is over there with that weird ass song with the weird ass drums. And he's not even worried about TikTok or Spotify charts or, you know, even getting playlisting or whatever. Everything is kind of, and you know, mostly in pop music, Weeknd, Dua Lipa, X, Y, and Z, even Calvin now, very safe and polished.
Yeah.
For to land, right? It's got to be for that. You know, it's not making music with the special sauce on it.
See, and I know that there's a lot of variables that come into play with that, but
of course.
You know, the deadlines and stuff. And I keep going back to Silk Sonic, right? Because I mean, I love that album. I want to love it even more.
Yeah.
And you know, their first song came out, and like I'm gonna still stand on this hill saying that song came out by accident.
Sure. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I don't think it was intended to be an album.
Right.
I think they put out the one track, and everybody loved it. We're like, we need a whole album of this.
Right.
And they're like,
deadlines and record labels and the
record
big money
like,
coming to play.
You need to make
and then
a fucking album out of this. People are loving this.
Yeah.
Because you can cookie cut that 12 times and make a fucking album.
Yeah.
You can
Which is precisely what happened to me. Like, that's what I feel like what happened.
Yeah.
You can listen to a Bootsy album and make a Bootsy song. Like you can do that. You have all the money in the world. You know, with Bruno Mars at the helm, the budget's endless. Here's where they went wrong. They didn't get these producers from that time period, which a lot of them, you know, you could have gotten Giorgio.
Yeah.
You could have done a Giorgio. You could have had Giorgio in the studio for a Silk Sonic album.
There's a lot of people they could have pulled. Like,
but you think if they went in the studio, they'd be able to like, yo, I'm not playing on this new shit.
I don't know. I don't know what could have happened. I think mostly because I think they would have to get American producers because it's more of an American sound. Like, so Giorgio, I don't think would have been like a good, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just an example. And I think, and also we are in the modern era where they don't have to come into the studio and all be in the same room.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So whoever this producer is, could work from home and then send.
Right.
It's just interesting that, like I said, it feels very 80s inspired, but not.
I think the other thing is that like most modern songs now have like 7-8 writers on a song, and I
insane.
And I think because of that, it's like it kind of gets in the way of like you're kind of pleasing multiple people and multiple people's opinions and tastes, whereas if you just had one person and like their vision to be like, this is what it's going to be, this is what it sounds like, even if it's like more of a executive kind of producer role, I still think that you're better off with that and trying to please one person's taste than, you know, all these different people who are taking references from different places and you know, whereas if you're like, we're going to write a song that sounds like this and it's going to have these limitations and take references from maybe like 2 songs and that's it, then you have like a clearer vision as to, you know, all the different songs will like mold together and fit together nicely as a package, as a, like, you know, almost like a concept album kind of thing, rather than, you know, different writers on every single song, and then it almost becomes a bit like a compilation album of you know,
of all these writers and
different
producers.
Sessions. Exactly.
I mean, what the fuck do we know? Like, they've won millions of Grammys and sold millions of albums. And we're all sitting here like, it could have been better.
But I'm wondering if that's not due in part to tooling the algorithm too. You know, where you're like, this is coming up for this person, this has a leg over here in this avenue, and they got a writing credit on this, and you know, I'm wondering if that's just
like how much of that actually comes into play.
But also, I think it's probably a little bit of the, maybe not in the Silk Sonic sense, but some other artists definitely, where it's whatever they're looking for at the time. So I've pitched for people before. I've pitched for Rosalia, or I've pitched for Dua Lipa, different people, and you know, a brief will come from their record label that says, we want songs that sound like this. And so, you know, you get hundreds of writers all sending in their beats and their ideas and everything. So it's like, you know, that's what kind of limits it. But at the same time, like I say, it's kind of good to have that, but at the same time, it's not, because then, you know, it's like you're only going to get one type of sound, one type of beat, and then it's finding the balance, isn't it? You know, you either have like an album where every song sounds exactly the fucking same, or every song sounds completely different and there's nothing that kind of sews it all together. But
it's like it teeters along the lines of having every song sounds the same album and a cohesive every song fits together album where it sounds like one project.
Which is why like an album like Thriller, and why an album like Saturday Night Fever, and why, you know, all these like massive albums, like best-selling albums, they're almost kind of like greatest hits or a compilation album where, you know, you have like quiet ballady songs, but then you have big poppy songs, but it's because they're made at the same time by the same people, that brings it all together. So you can still have that variation and like we're going to have this kind of song, this kind of song, this kind of song.
But they're not the same damn song.
Yeah.
Like P.Y.T. and Thriller are two very different songs.
Yeah. But it's people like Quincy and people like Bruce Swedien and all the players on Thriller that brings it all together. And that's what, the sound of Thriller is, the combination of those, few people.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that gets pushed back to what we were talking about earlier, how the producer gets pigeonholed into a certain sound, where they feel that obligation to, this is what people just know me by, I need to keep making this?
Yeah, I mean, look at what happened to Pharrell and Neptunes. They were just kind of putting out, kind of the same song for a good like 10 years or so. Yeah. I mean, he still had like variation, but like, when he made like every song on, what did he use? Like the Korg Triton, right? I think. Yeah. And it's like, if you there's only so many times you can use that like clavinet sound before it starts to get boring, So it was like really cool to begin with, and it was like, wow, what the fuck is this? I've never heard anything like it before. But then towards the end of that era, it was like, okay, what else you got?
Yeah.
I think that's what he used the hell out of that Triton. We got every sound possible out of that thing.
They sure did.
And it's true. Like in retrospect, like, yeah, they're all jams. We got 10 years of jams, but they are essentially the same fucking song. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah, it follows suit. This is the Neptunes sound, and we're not going to deviate from it. Like,
it's knowing when to drop out. Like, you can do that and do it well for, he, like I say, he did it for like 10 years, but yeah, it's gonna, after a while, there's like a use by date, and so it's gonna run out sooner or later. So
there's a lot of schlock in there too, in those 10 years, which people never talk about. There's so many, just, we don't want it. We,
like, it's cool, but we weren't in.
Yeah, with the exact same sound. So it was just really, I mean, I can't even say it was the artist, because there was some flops with big artists in there too.
Yeah.
I think it was just the amount of output that told the story.
What makes Pharrell interesting, though, I think, is that it's an example, a bit like Jay Dilla, where it's somebody using the most modern technology and like getting the most out of it. So like Pharrell could have used like a really old sampler or like a really old keyboard or something and gone down that route. But at the time, the Triton was like the new thing. Mm-hmm. And it's same with Jay Dilla and the MPC. The MPC 3000 or whatever it is that he used was like brand new at the time, and he, got the most out of it. Whereas nowadays people are kind of almost like looking back and being like, what can we do that will sound retro because nostalgia is cool right now?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Rather than like, what's the latest and greatest thing, and then using that to its their advantage or whatever. So
it is interesting. The use of a certain I think that's kind of a lost art in modern production too, is just getting to know one instrument, like getting to know one piece of kit front and back. I think is very much like a lost. It's definitely kind of a lost art,
or having that limitation. Just being like, I'm gonna have these two synths and this drum machine, and that's kind of it. Whereas now it's like, there's this plugin and this plugin and this plugin and this VST and this VST and this drum sound, and it's like, you can just
literally get anything.
Yeah, and you can get lost in the latest and greatest and the newest technology, and and I'm kind of guilty to it. Like I have so many fucking plugins, but it's like I always go back to the same ones because I know them, and I know how to get the best out of them and stuff. But you always have to scratch that itch of, I wonder what this does, and finding a new plugin or whatever. But
it's very similar to DJing in the way that it's like, if you have too many options, you kind of lose quality.
Right. What songs are going to work. You know what songs are going to go off.
And every now and then you may add a couple, and take some away. Once they get tired, just like you're saying, once you're used by date.
Yeah.
But and maybe you can bring it back later when nostalgia kicks back in.
Yeah.
But having too many options will almost puts you at a standstill. Like now nothing's happening. Like
and I think that about like mixers and stuff as well, because it's like, think how many like effects are on a mixer. Who the fuck uses like a phaser on a mixer?
Right,
it's like
if you're not like you just stick.
Yeah.
You just stick to the same ones, don't you? Because they work and they're good. And now they're talking about having like the stem thing, aren't they? Like just the drums and just the acapella
they're having
as
stem like hard buttons on controllers.
Yeah, and I'm just like, do we need it? Are we gonna use it? I don't know.
People use it.
They use it in the wrong way.
Stems are getting used.
Yeah.
When it comes to open format DJing, people are using stems. I think it's finally starting to chill out. I think people were using it for everything.
It is, but it was a new toy.
But it was brand new, so that's to be expected.
It was a new.
Now
toy.
I'm seeing it a little less.
Nightmare for the crowd, by the way, where the crowd's like, another mashup, like I just want to hear the song, like crying, Yeah.
Please just play the song.
Yeah. Not everything needs to be, let me take that bass line and put it on this. Like, come on, dude.
As a DJ, it's fun as fuck.
Right.
Like, it's super fun. But like in the club, it's like, oh fucking K.
Yeah. And that goes back to the problem of too many choices hurts the output. It hurts what the crowd hears and stuff like that. I don't know. I just
because they're all here for tools that you need to use. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just another tool in the box.
Like so use it as a tool.
Yeah,
well,
that makes sense.
They're gonna run out of ideas.
Right.
Eventually, the tech companies that are producing these mixers and upgrading Serato and all of that are gonna run out of ideas. There's only so many buttons that you need on the mixer. Yeah. There's only so many advancements. There's Bluetooth now on mixers and stuff like that. Whatever you'd use that for. But now we've hit this brick wall where they're like, okay, we have stems. The next thing we could do is write a Chat GPT code into Serato where you're like, make me a song that sounds like this so I can play it.
Because even more and more DJ software is getting into production software.
Yeah.
Right.
So now there's like a weird overlay. Like Serato put out Serato Studio years ago. But now like Stems is coming into Serato DJ.
Yeah.
So now we're doing it live. Pioneer's starting to do their own version of Stems, which is a different algorithm, but same thing. It doesn't work as well, but they're doing it.